2014 Junior Grand Warden Candidate Forum. Thank you all for coming, especially our candidates. We appreciate you showing up. A few years ago, we had the idea of this forum. We wanted to get to know the candidates better. We felt their statement of availability really wasn't sufficient enough for us to get to know the people that we were electing to eventually become the Grand Master of our jurisdiction. So I will read you the rules, and then I'll give each of the candidates a moment to introduce themselves. I'll ask the first question, and we'll go from there. The rules are, we will read each question aloud. Each of you will be given 3 minutes to respond. At the 1 minute mark, Brother Timer, Virtual Brother Jay Losey will give a visual sign. Please demonstrate the visual sign. Thank you.
Plus, this will be counting down.
You have a visual timer there as well. At the 30-second mark, he'll give an audible signal that you have 30 seconds remaining.
30 seconds.
At 10 seconds, he will do another one for 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
If you speak after your time is up, I'll wrap you down. And then move on to the next candidate. If you speak during another candidate's time, I'll also wrap you down. If you go off topic, you'll be wrapped down. Please respect your fellow candidates and the forum by not speaking out of turn or off topic. If you're repeatedly wrapped down, you'll be removed from the lodge.
Not me.
Candidate number 1 will answer question 1 first, followed by candidate number 2, then 3. Candidate number 2 will answer the second question first, followed by candidate 3. And this will continue in a round robin format until our time runs out, where every question has been asked. If there is time at the end, you'll each be given 3 minutes for any closing remarks you wish to share. You can ask for a clarification or for the question to be reread at any point during your time, and that response will not be deducted from your time allowance. Are there any questions before we begin?
Would you like us to stand to answer the questions, or are we free to sit? Or
feel free to remain. I think that'd be easiest for our camera crew as well.
all right.
So, without further ado, before we ask the first question, could you please introduce yourselves, starting with candidate 1?
I am Warren Chauvin, Grand Lecturer of the Most Worshipful Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Nations, Washington, a member of Arlington Lodge 129 in Arlington, Washington.
Candidate 2.
I am Charles Davis. I'm a member of the Bylaws Committee and the Charity Committee and Chairman of the Military Recognition Committee, and I'm a member of Virtual Lodge.
Candidate 3.
I am Jim Kendall. I'm the Grand Chaplain and Chairman of the Public Relations Committee, Tribune Committee, which is folded into it. My home lodge is William H. Upton Naval and Military Lodge number 206 in Bremerton. I also belong to Franklin Lodge number 5 and Silverdale Lodge number 311.
All right, thank you, brothers. The first question, which Warren will have the privilege of answering and be given 3 minutes. After he answers this question, we'll move on to 2 and 3. This one was provided earlier, and it is, what changes would you like to make in Grand Lodge? Not necessarily in Masonry, but specifically in the Grand Lodge of Washington.
The Grand Lodge provides very much information for the Brethren's use. Unfortunately, a lot of Brethren do not go to the Grand Lodge websites nor take advantage of the committees that are available to assist them in their lodges. I would present going back to more presentations and offer more workshops throughout the jurisdiction, providing workshops for the district deputies, for the worshipful masters, and I would like to involve the senior wardens competition into a proficiency in lodge management to be incorporated with it. What we do have is a lot of problems with worshipful masters not being familiar with the Washington Masonic codes and with the proficiency in lodge management provided to the senior wardens at the competitions. They would be more proficient at the time when they proceeded to the East as worshipful master of their lodges. These brothers are also the potential prospects for future district deputies. candidates, and this is knowledge that they definitely need in the future to assist them and their lodges. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 2.
I believe that the Grand Lodge office needs to better communicate some of the decisions that they have made to the lodges and the brethren, especially the secretaries. A good example is the requirement that the lodges submit the audit form that they're supposed to do to Grand Lodge this year. It was a perfectly good explanation for that. However, it didn't come out until the latest issue of the Tribune. And I know there was at least one secretary in my district that was very upset with Grand Lodge for requesting that without explaining why. But we need to have the Grand Lodge office explain the reasons that they are requiring items from all of the different lodges. I also think that some of the material that Grand Lodge has needs to be updated. For instance, the new candidate education program. The one that I was just looking at from my lodge still has requirements in it, such as in order to become a Shriner, you have to be a York Rite or Scottish Rite Mason. Things like that need to be updated and resubmitted to the different lodges. Thank you.
Candidate 3.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to come here today, first of all. The long-range plan that has just been issued carries a lot of information and frankly explains why I chose to run and the things that I want to see change. I think that one of the biggest issues is one that was brought up earlier by one of the other candidates, and that's communications between the Grand Lodge office and the lodges. We had some difficulties at this last Grand Lodge annual communication, and the direct cause of that was a failure of communication between the Grand Lodge office and that lodge, and I believe the same held true for the other 4 lodges. Our weak link is who all that communication goes to, and that's the secretary of the lodge. And if the secretary of the lodge is not responding, no one else is notified. So now we wait until 2 or 3 months have gone by and then we want to go shoot the lodge. We need to change that. We need to make this communication channel more efficient, and we need to involve more people who are responsible for each of the lodges. So that's one of my goals, is to see that happen. I have seen in the last several years, it seems like the focus of the operation of the Grand Lodge has shifted to management, governance, and administration. And consequently, the needs of the fraternity from the individual Masonic standpoint of our obligations to each other has suffered. And what I intend to do, whether or not I'm elected, is to help shift that focus. And you'll see also in the long-range plan that exact statement, and I support and echo that. And I will tell you that I developed my idea before they came out with that long-range plan. So we're all thinking from the same document. We have a lot of work to do. The old saw about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result has been applying to us for too long. And we need to completely revisit what we are doing and why we are doing it. And if we are doing it, are we doing it for the good of Masonry or for some other reason? So, complete look, top to bottom, everything from committee structures to the district meetings, how they're conducted and where they're conducted. So all of those things need to be focused on the good of lodge and the individual mason.
Thank you. Brother Steve wants to ask the next question.
All right. So the next question is, what do you think the most pressing issue facing Washington Masonry is today, and what do you suggest be done about it? Candidate number 2 will be the first.
I think that the most pressing issue that is faced by Washington Masonry is the membership. We are losing members, and some of the lodges are making members but not making Masons. We need to increase our membership, but we need to guard the West Gate, get people in who are Masons in their heart, good men that we can help make better. We need to educate our new brothers, and for that matter, some of our older brothers, in what the philosophy of Masonry is. We need to mentor all of our new candidates. We don't need to be losing brothers because they don't know what to expect when they come into lodge and take the first or second degree and decide this is not what they want. So we need to do a better job guarding the West Gate, explaining to potential members what we are about, and educating our members once we initiate them.
Thank you. And number 3.
There's so many things that are pressing, it's hard to point at one and say, this is the one. But I think that one of the most pressing issues, in a sense, is what Brother Charles just said, and that's how we treat our membership. We need to be mentoring our members, we need to be caring for our members, and ensuring that whatever it is they need to be successful, we provide to the best of our abilities. All too often we see members initiated, for whatever reason, we don't see them again. In part, that's because they weren't prepared, they weren't thoroughly vetted, and then when they were initiated, we didn't have an active mentor to help that individual learn more about what it's about and how to succeed. How we treat our lodges, how we treat our Masons, to me is one of the priorities that we need to address. And if we address that particular part of the equation, then we go a long way to fixing all the other problems that we're facing. If we do that, we'll get our members more involved. If we do more things of interest in the lodge that can bring them in to allow them to participate, that's part of it. So the membership of the lodge is, to me, is the first, last, and that's where we need to be concentrating to assist, because if we fix the membership, how we treat them, as I say, the rest of it will fall into place.
Thank you. Candidate Moore?
I believe education is the priority, educating the elected and appointed officers of the lodge what their duties are. It was explained to them in their obligations. Along with that, the business aspects of the lodge. It seems like a majority of the lodges do not realize that they are a business until they've been backed into the corner and they've got some liabilities out there, and all of a sudden they're in jeopardy. The situation is the Grand Lodge went to bat for 13 lodges last year that had lost their not-for-profit status, and had a total of $45,000. And I believe at this time only one of them has got that status back. The other 12 are still in limbo. And while this information was passed on to all the lodges within our jurisdiction, it should have been enough notice to the other lodges to do something about it. And now we've got temple boards, temple corporations, and or lodges at this time that are added to that list that are having their status taken away from them. So the situation is we can send out lots of emails, but at some point in time there has to be some position of the lodges that they've got to be held accountable. And it's not just the secretary or treasurer in the corner. All the members of the lodge are part owners of this business, and each one of them has to be partially responsible for the business, whether it succeeds or fails.